act of kindness by a man of God who is offering comfort while leading by example is going to be looked at with such doubt and uncertainty. It's a simple act of kindness. One that we could all make. You don't have to reach out to somebody that's sick. But the Pope was calling to offer him some comfort. We all know someone in pain. We all know someone in need of some comfort or encouragement. And if we take one thing away from this, it should probably be the fact that, hey, if the Pope has time to do this, then so do we. We have time to be our brother's keeper, to look after one another, to watch each other's ass. What's the old expression? The only time you should look down on someone is when you're helping them up. Hey, a new Kurt Cobain album is supposedly on the way. The new Kurt Cobain documentary debuted on HBO last night. Montage of Heck features a whole bunch of previously unreleased recordings. And now the director says he's putting out a whole album of Kurt stuff sometime this summer. Ooh. How do we feel about this? What do you make of it? Here's why I think it's a bad idea.
Praise was hard for him to take, maybe, and he didn't know how to handle that. So he would downplay it all the time. But that was his goal, was to get to as perfect as he could, as good as he could get, write as well as he could, sing as well as he could, play as well as he could. And then when it all came together...
And you see the art, I mean... A lot of his messages are as plain as day. I'm not even going to say what they are, but you can see it. And it's all there. And, in 2020 hindsight, you're like, oh my God, why didn't I see that? Or I should have said something. But, it's like...
See, Kurt Cobain, and by the way, that was from Montage of Heck. Kurt Cobain was a perfectionist. Always trying to find the perfect song. Always trying to find the perfect melody for the perfect chord progression and put it together in the perfect manner. Dave Grohl became drummer of Nirvana because he was willing to do a little bit more of what he was told. Chad Channing, original drummer of Nirvana, fought Kurt Cobain on some stuff. And Cobain was like, ooh, I really have a very specific and perfect vision that I'm trying to achieve with my music and my songs I'm trying to get to. And this guy's vision doesn't match up with mine. I want it to be perfect. I want everything I put together to be very matter of fact. And that's one thing you can say about Nirvana songs. When you listen to them, every part is definite. Every part is defined. There's nothing left up to chance. There's nothing jammy about the whole thing. If there is chaos in the songs, it's organized, scheduled chaos. You listen to those albums, that's a very tight band playing. A lot of what is musically significant about Nirvana gets lost in who Kurt Cobain was and what they stood for at the time. But that's a really, really tight band. Those bass and those drums, they're together. They're on point. They're there. They're definite. They're defined. Everyone's playing a part in Nirvana. There's no strumming along. There's no making it up as you go. There's no element of a jam band. Everyone is playing a part, a specific, defined, well-orchestrated part that's going to help Kurt Cobain's vision of what a song should be come to life, which is why I think it sounds like a really bad idea that there's a new Kurt Cobain album on the way. He was a perfectionist. And, well, I mean, look, we want to hear this stuff. I suppose we do. We're all going to be curious about it. And by that token, maybe being able to listen to some of these things, these unreleased recordings, should be something we're allowed to do from a historically significant perspective. But I would hazard a guess that it's not what Kurt Cobain would have wanted for us to hear these unreleased recordings. I'm guessing they're unreleased for a reason. Why? Because, well, the director of the documentary said, quote, it'll feel like you're kind of hanging out with Kurt on a hot summer day in Olympia as he fiddles about. It's going to really surprise people. Ooh, there you go. Therein lies the crux of the matter. Nirvana's music was never about fiddling about. It was never about hanging out, fiddling about. It was about what we were discussing. It was about him being a perfectionist. It was about him having a specific orchestrated idea for a tight arrangement of a song where every musician is individually playing their part to create something that is greater than the sum of the pieces. It's about putting something together in an exacting way to make it as effective as possible. So, if you told him back in the day that a bunch of people were going to be able to listen to recordings of him just hanging out on a summer day, fiddling around, it probably would have filled him with a certain amount of terror, because that's not how he wanted his ideas to be presented. And I get it. I suppose we're curious enough that we all want to hear it. But there's a reason that song, You Know You're Right, wasn't released back in the day. It wasn't released back in the day because, well, it wasn't deemed ready. It wasn't deemed worthy. It wasn't up to code. It wasn't up to Nirvana code. So You Know You're Right was a full song with all the instruments on it. If we're going to be listening to a bunch of cobbled together, just hanging out, fiddling around recordings of Kurt Cobain, I can't possibly imagine that that was something that he would have wanted or approved of. I just can't. It feels weird. The whole montage of Heck thing, thought it was very interesting, thought it was very cool. I haven't seen it yet, but it looks like a fantastic eye into someone who absolutely 100% changed the face of pop culture through his creativity. And that's very interesting. That's very cool. Unearthing some of his unfinished sketches and making that the very last part of his legacy. I mean, he's not like Tupac. It's not like there's millions of albums in the can ready to go. This could be the very last thing we hear from him. This could be the last piece of content that's ever dropped upon us. Is that what he would have wanted? His final legacy to be a bunch of sketches, things cobbled together, stuff he was working on, fiddling around? No, I really don't think that was the case. I know that's not going to stop these musings, these fiddlings around from being released, but I don't know. It seems disrespectful, doesn't it?
I just hate you so much.